Welcome to the boatyard in Aruba, where we are ticking off some big projects in preparation for our even bigger passage early next year. We have been on Project Dry Build for the last few weeks, starting with upgrading our grease packer to a dripless shaft seal and directing our shower water out of the boat rather than into the main engine bilge. This week we are attacking our anchor locker, which, surprise surprise, also drains down into the engine bilge. But it would obviously be a bit too easy if we just had to drill 2 small holes in the bow to let water drain out. Instead, a large section of deck was rotten, just to give us that extra challenge. There's a bit more rock than we think. Hit subscribe if you haven't already, and make sure to check out Welsh Yacht Insurance, who we are so grateful for sponsoring today's video. Bloody hell, yeah, it's quite corroded. It's not awful, we can definitely fix it, but it's pretty... What's happening in here?
Well, it's a bit of a mess in here because this is of our storage room at the moment, so there's kind of everything in here at the moment. We've cleared out a lot of stuff, but this is kind of where everything gets dumped when we're doing projects. But we've got to do a little project up in the very bow of the boat in our anchor locker. We've got 2 things that we need doing here. Well, it's kind of a handful of things we need to do. First of all, there's a little bit of rotting wood on just beneath the deck, so it goes the teak deck, balsa core, and then I think fiberglass, and there's a bit of rotting wood and then fiberglass. But where our anchor chain goes through our deck, there's a big open hole into like a wood area. There's a bit rotten in there, so I'm going to cut it all back to where it's good wood, and then we're going to thicken epoxy and glass it all over and make sure that never happens again, and that will be good. And the other thing we've got to do is make sure that our anchor locker no longer drains into our bilge. So we're going to do that by taking out this old board that basically holds onto all of our anchor chain at the moment, putting a new one in which hopefully will be a bit thicker, and because this one's warped a little bit, glass it all in, and then we're going to put some clamshell drains on the very bottom corners of here, so all the water drains out of the boat instead of down into the
Project Dry Build.
Project Dry Bilge. So at the moment, all the dirty stuff from our anchor just ends up in all of the bilges, and it's horrible. So this way we won't have any horrible, nasty water coming back out or anything like that. So that's gonna be really nice. And then we've got to do some stuff with the windlass as well, and fix that because it's coming out of the deck a little bit. So yeah, quite.
Hopefully that's not related to the rotting wood.
Yeah, I don't know.
We'll have to just see.
Yeah, it might just need more bolts and a base plate or something like that, but I don't know, we'll see. We're going to do this first and tackle this, and then we're going to crack on with other things, but it's going to be a really sweaty job in here.
Yeah.
This is not a nice place to be working. There's a window there, but it's beaming sunlight in, so that's why the blind's shut. I've got a fan, which will help, but I'm going to come out of here dripping.
Yeah.
Covered in fiberglass.
And have you got goggles?
I've got goggles, respirator. The multi-tool I'm going to use first, and once I get to the edge of the rotting wood, I've got basically a wire brush that I'm going to use just to clean up the rest of the wood and get rid of the rest of the rot around it, like that, and then we'll leave it to dry for a bit longer, glass all of that, clean up the locker. Yeah, it's going to be quite a big project.
Nice.
This is the hole, here, where is it? There it is, that's the hole there that we've got to be fixing, and as you can see, it's quite dry now in there because we've been in Aruba for so long, which is quite nice, so it's not damp in there anymore, but it definitely needs a bit of fixing in there because, as you can see, it's just open in between that gap there, so hopefully it doesn't go too far, but I'm going to do slowly bigger and bigger circles to try and get rid of all that and hopefully end up fixing it.
First things first is to unbolt the windlass and cover the wires up. Oh my god, it's really pulling the fiberglass as well.
No. The good news is where that plate is up there is all dry.
Yeah.
So even if it ends there, it might just be like localized to around that hole and around that hole.
Yeah.
That would be the dream. Well, not a dream, but better. So we've just figured out that actually there's a bit more rock than we think. Where the button is for the windlass, it's also rotten. Fingers crossed it's not worse than we think. Back in Guadeloupe, we realised our windlass was lifting slightly at the base when pulling the chain up. We assumed this was because of undersized washers and loose bolts, so we replaced them and tightened it. But there was still a bit of movement. I guess a rotten deck would be a good explanation for this. Yeah. But being in a dry yard in Aruba is now the perfect chance to pull it up fully and see what we are working with. It's pulling the teacup. Zach, there's so much crap in there. Oh, it's so rotten. The windlass is falling apart. It's all corroded. The actual windlass is crumbling. Holy crap, Zach. Holy crap. Bloody hell. Yeah, it's quite corroded. It's not awful, we can definitely fix it, but it's pretty... I just lifted our windlass off the deck.
Needs a bit of love.
This is all just like salt and corrosion. If I move this round, that's a piece of teak, which is wonderful.
Yeah, but it's not the actual deck, it's just, it's a bit that was put on there to level it out.
Look at that.
Yeah, I saw that. That is really corroded in there. Like, look at that whole thing. That whole bolt is going to go at some point.
Do you think that's original?
Yeah, I think so. Well, I didn't think it would be great in there, but that is worrying, that.
So obviously that wasn't what we were hoping to find, but it's one of the only bits we hadn't actually properly investigated, so it's kind of expected, I guess. She's an old boat and these things happen. Right now Zach's just gone in to find a flathead to remove these plugs here, and then we're going to try and lift this whole top plate off so we can kind of look at actually the damage, and it will also give us better access to filling the bits that have rot.
It's not great here. It's all a bit rotten. No, that wasn't even it.
Oh, did it break?
Yeah, they're going to. They're really rusted.
When you own a boat, there are always projects that spring up when you least expect them to. Costs can and do really add up, and we are fortunate that this one was above the waterline and wasn't affecting the integrity of our hull. However, it's really made us realise how important it is to have reliable boat insurance. We'd already been insured with Welsh when they contacted us asking if we wanted to work together, and honestly, we have never jumped at an opportunity more. It looks pretty crappy because it's all different colours, but once we get standing back, it might not look awful. I mean, it's sat there for 35 years, it's done alright.
That bit's really annoying. Why is that bit gone but nowhere else?
I don't know. Maybe just water sat there more. It was a real struggle to find insurance to cover us and Tay-Lee as we sail around the world. But Welsh essentially hopped in and saved the day. So if, like us, you're struggling for cover, it really might be worth checking them out. The link is in our bio.
This is where we're at the moment. So this was the chain hole, and this is where the cables all went into the windlass. It's getting better now. We're back to not rotting wood in some places, which is good. It hasn't gone crazy far, but I still need to take a good bit more back. I'm a little bit concerned about how far it's going down here though, but yeah, we'll just see. But back to good wood here though, which is nice. That's good, so I'm back to some good stuff.
Yeah.
And then that's a big bit of rotten.
Wowie. Zach. Oh my god.
I'm back to some good stuff now.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So, is it bigger or smaller than you thought?
I don't know yet, I haven't got the end of it.
Oh, you haven't?
No, not yet. I'm still going.
You're doing a cracking job.
Thanks.
You think you're there?
Yeah, done. I've got all the rotten out anyway.
Good job. Okay, let's get...
It's that wide, but it's knobbly wide.
Okay.
It's like... It's probably, if it's a square like that, it's probably only like that big.
Okay.
It's not awful.
No? Oh, Zach, is it all fiberglass?
Some of it is, yeah.
It's going to be itchy.
Yep.
Now all the rot is out, it's time to start figuring out a replacement section of wood for this void. So let's hop in this little white hire car and head to the shops.
What's the plan?
We can't buy individually cut bits, we've got to buy a massive sheet, but it's not as expensive as we thought it was going to be here.
Hopefully we'll fit it in the car.
He's going to cut it up for us, so it will.
That is massive.
Yeah, I know, don't.
Not sure why, but this is such a funny sight. Purely cutting wood just to fit in the boot of a car. Oh no!
Before I could start cutting, I wanted to draw out a template to ensure the wood was a more uniform shape. I really don't feel like cutting out a rhombocozy dodecahedron today. Try saying that 3 times fast. Beautiful.
We're getting there now. This is all ground out now. I just need to tie this all up, get it back to just normal wood. So I'm going to get the sander and just basically disc sand this all back. I've knocked the head off all the nails as well because they would have just wrecked our sander. Oh, there's one more there. Let me get rid of that as well. I've just got to tidy up this little bit. Then I've got to sand all the way around here just so we get a nice clean area to lay down fiberglass when we put the board in here. Getting there now. This thing's getting so dusty. So anyway, look at the rubbish just down here. Almost there. This is a
How's it going?
It's going good. One annoying thing is that there was one more bit.
Oh, that was rotten?
Yeah, it's fine. We're just going to have to cut a square bit of wood to fill that.
That's annoying.
Yeah, I thought it felt fine, but I took one bit of nice wood back, and then that was all that was black under there.
Yeah.
I've got back to where it's good again.
So, it's all cut out in there now. I just had like an hour off just catching my breath again because it's so hot in here. It's kind of unbearable. We can't really be in here more than an hour or two, as you just kind of, yeah, it's not fun. But we're almost there now. This is all good in there. It all fits pretty snugly. I've got to cut out one more small little triangle because there was one more little bit of rot which I thought had stopped, but it carried on a little bit. So I've cut that out, but it's only about that big, so I need to cut out a little bit of wood for that. But what I'm going to do now is clean up the whole area. I've given it a good hoover now, and then I'll be pretty much there, which is fantastic. We're not a million miles away now. Right, I've just cut the extra little triangle bit that I need. Don't think it's going to look horribly pretty. I think once we're done, it will look lovely. It'll be painted white anyway. I think that'll just about do. Gonna get a bit of wood now to wedge in here to force it all up.
Job well done.
Yeah. This next one's going to be a bit more difficult. I'm going to go put my jumpsuit on and put goggles on and everything like that because I need to basically get in there and have it above me. Yeah. I'll put the respirator on as well.
And you're just going to do the big bit and then we're going to put the next bit in, I guess, when that's dried?
No, so we'll do it all at once, but I think it wedges itself in there nicely anyway.
Okay.
But we need quite a bit of thickened epoxy on it.
Right, so Zach's in there just finishing the prep. He's already acetoned the bit that's going to be the top of the anchor locker, and he's acetoning the board. I'm going to mix up some more thickened epoxy now. And this is the texture we wanted. Let's get it on.
This will be a fun bit.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's really pushing it up in there. Oh yeah. One of the issues of our anchor locker draining into the bilge is the kind of water that usually ends up with the anchor chain. It wouldn't be an issue if it was clean, fresh water, but it's usually salty and pretty grubby, which ramps up corrosion on the engine and adds a level of damp to the boat that isn't necessary.
Look at that. Wowee. Oh my gosh, when that's all sanded and we put a lick of paint over that whole thing.
A layer of fiberglass.
And a layer of fiberglass, that's going to look excellent.
You'll never know.
Zach, good job. This morning we're up bright and early. Zach is crawling into his cave as we speak. And it's time to first make up an amount of just normal resin and hardener together for Zach to paintbrush that onto the wood, because plywood and a lot of woods, marine ply isn't as bad, it doesn't absorb as much, but a lot of kind of traditional woods absorb the epoxy, and if you're fiberglassing you don't want it to absorb what you're applying to it, so it's good just to paint it with a layer of thin epoxy first, and then wait like 20 minutes for that to become a bit tacky and soak in, and then go in with thickened epoxy and fiberglass.
It is a few days later. The thickened epoxy in here should all be nicely set. I'm just going to bump out these bits of wood and get rid of these, because we don't need these anymore. Hopefully it will stay where it is. Looks good.
Okay, I think that should be good.
Lovely.
Just made the first batch of thickened epoxy. Alright, so now we're on to the fiberglassing. You're doing a great job. More's needed. Really is a race against time, because it's already really hot and this is the coolest time of the day, is the morning, because it's had the night to cool down, but oh gosh.
Oh my god.
Zach's out the shower. Did you get most of it off?
Yeah, my nipple was a little bit crusty of epoxy, which was horrible. I've never had that before.
The old crusty nip.
I thought that jumpsuit would actually protect me quite well, but it just kind of like dripped on it and spread out. I've still got some of my feet. I've got.
So would it be better not to have worn it?
No, because it would have. No, because I think it protected me a bit, and it's still a good idea to wear that. But
yeah,
maybe next time I need like covered myself in bin bags as well, or like a.
Yeah.
You know what would have worked well? A rain poncho, you know, those plastic ones. Those would have worked really well in that. But
yeah, we should find one. I have fiberglass in my knickers, which is wonderful.
But that's the worst of that job done now.
Yeah.
I've got to sand it once more, obviously, when it's all done, which will be a bit uncomfortable.
We also blew up our blender on the 110. It wasn't the 110, we think it was...
might just be because it was old.
Yeah. 60 hertz here. In the UK we have 50 hertz, and apparently that can just bugger up some of your appliances. It was probably old already, but anyway, we are a blender down, so remember seeing online that you can use a drill to make a NutriBullet spin, so we're going to give it our best shot, because at the moment we've got nothing to lose.
Wait, I don't know how this is going to work that well, but...
It's working! Look at that! That is not bad. It might be a bit lumpy, but we can deal with that. Okay, moment of truth.
Is it not great?
It's fine, it's just a bit lumpy.
Okay.
But like, it's a smoothie, it's just a lumpy smoothie.
Alright. With that all sanded, it's time to tackle the bottom of the anchor locker. This is the old anchor locker bottom that's currently supporting all of our chain. You can see it's warped a lot under all of that weight. This stuff is significantly thicker. I think this stuff is about 10 mil, but this is 18 mil, this stuff. And we're gonna be glassing over it, so it's gonna be a lot stronger. So I'm gonna use this as a bit of a rough template, but it needs to be a little bit bigger than this, because obviously it has warped and shrunk in size a little bit because of it. I can list maybe 5 tools which would cut wood better than this multi-tool. It's not a thing of beauty, but it'll do the job. But we live on a 40-foot boat on a tiny island, so when we say we make do with what we have, we really mean it. Plus, this chunk is going under many layers of fiberglass, so the aesthetics here, luckily, aren't too important.
It's looking quite good.
With all that cleaned, epoxied and fiberglass, it was time to finally give the entire locker a good sand. I'm so glad we got one of those low sand sanders because I can't imagine what the high sand sanders are like. But that's really coming along. We've still got to drill the 2 holes that will drain the water outside of the locker, which we haven't had before. And then we're going to put the little clam. Where are those things? Oh, these things. The bright blue things on our hole? No. Just got a layer, protective layer on them, but I'm going to put these on the outside, which will look like that. And we'll be one step closer to Project Dry Build. You have no idea how excited we are for that, honestly. After a year of a wet build, we can see the dry build in sight.
About to drill through our new anchor locker drains in, which is a little bit scary because we've got to drill all the way through the hull, so wish me luck. We've done drills like this before, but it's always nerve-wracking when you have to do this. It's just not a fun thing to do, drilling through your boat. Nice and slowly, try not to bust up the gel coat on the other side too much. All right, let's do it. Right there.
Okay, plan for side number 2.
Just need to do the other side now and we'll be almost there.
Alrighty, so plan right now is we need to ascertain those 2 drill holes Zach did out the anchor locker, and then I'm going to go in with my nifty doofer and I'm going to spread some slightly thick epoxy on the inside of the holes just to give it a coating so we don't have any water ingress into the hull. Don't want that. I was going to say something, can't remember what. Oh yeah, with epoxy you have to mix a ratio of 5 parts resin to 1 part hardener, and if you mess that up it doesn't set well enough. The issue is the smallest measure we've got is these, I'm just going to show you because they're a bit gooey, are these. So that's 1, and then 5 of those are 5. Okay, moving on. I'm hoping that I can just put some tape around this to make a smaller measure, and then as long as I put the tape on the same marking on the resin tube, it should be fine, 1 to 5. I'm going to do that now, and I'm going to then go in and start painting.
Oh, hello.
Yeah? Yeah?
Further.
Yeah?
Almost. Okay. Oh yeah.
I stupidly dipped the end I've got into there. Okay, I'm gonna go make up the epoxy then. I want to just shove my finger in there.
Professional.
It is so important to properly seal screws in. We have chosen unthickened epoxy for this, as it's easy to dip the screws in and go. We do not want water getting into our hull. My job today is to enter the absolute sweat box, that is the anchor locker, in order to add a coat of Belgian locker paint. We bought this one back in Martinique, hence the French flag. But yeah, this is like a really, really exciting step, because it's going to really pull it together, transform it. It says you need good ventilation. There is no good ventilation, so I'm going to just mask myself up, wear some gloves and hope for the best. Cross my fingers and hope for the best. So here's a before. It's 1, it's like midday and it's at least 40 degrees Celsius in here. It's really hot, but getting there. It took quite a long time.
It looks really good up there.
Yeah, it's taken me like how long to do that? Like an hour and a half?
A while. It's an awkward space, isn't it?
Yeah, and you have to be permanently in like a squat position to paint around them, but hopefully the rest should be a little bit easier now. I can get onto the bigger paintbrush. So.
Yeah, that's definitely the hardest bit, isn't it?
Yeah.
Good job. Getting there?
Getting there many hours later. This is sticking, my glove is sticking to absolutely everything. It's got sticky paint on it.
You got some paint on you, Becca.
Do I have it in my face?
No you don't.
I'm itchy again with fiberglass, but first coat is done.
There's so much paint on you.
Really where?
All over your arms and legs, look at them.
Yeah, because it's flicked.
Well, it looks really good.
Yeah? What's the time?
The time is, guess.
1.
2:41.
I've been in there 3 hours,
Yeah, you've
Zach.
been in there for absolutely ages.
3 hours.
Yeah, maybe get out for a bit now.
Yeah, I think so. In the time that I was in there, we've had 2 new neighbours arrive, so let's go say hi. 1, 2.
Through the sweaty days, itchy dust suits, paint fumes, and anxiety that comes with drilling holes through your hull, it was all for this. An anchor locker that you can eat your dinner off. I wonder how long it will stay like this for. See you next week.